All right, boys, how's done?
Right.
Marvellous.
Good. Good.
We're back, and we've got a great result to be fucking angry about.
That's it.
Yes, it's like the stars aligned, innit? Fate. We've been gallivanting the globe, me and Ando. We've left you in we've left you in the hands of Thomas and Kevin. Kevin, I thought your performance last week was stellar.
Thank you.
Thomas, you're getting called out fucking straight away. So,
Oh, fuck.
Sen, I've obviously been in the Caribbean. I've been in America for about 3 weeks. I managed to get some Wi-Fi, so I was like, "Oh fuck it, I'll send the boys a wee voice note." I managed to catch the Riga game, bit of the Celtic game, gave them my thoughts on how things have been going or whatever. Tam was like, "Oh mate, didn't you get your voice note? Didn't it come through? Didn't it come through?" Listen to last week's podcast. The wee snaked me, stole every one of my points. Oh, I never go to Corbett. I never go. I was like, "How he sounds so eloquent about football? Who's been telling him?" Who's been in his ear giving him knowledge about football? You just got my voice note. Oh, I never got it, Corbett. Never got it.
Honestly,
And this
got it
is
the
it. Wait
day
a minute.
back, day after you got back, and I,
Is
I
this the
listened to it. And I
one?
was like, well, I'm glad I told you, spoke about everything.
Is this the one where he put in the group chat? Oh, new format tonight, guys. Really appreciate your feedback on it. Blah 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 blah. What? Listen, I've not listened to a fucking single episode that we've recorded back in over 18 months. There's no way I'm listening to just you and Kev talk shite. No
The new
chance in
format
hell.
is steal Corbett's
Still got second.
views and then pretend that they're mine. So you
You
did well, Thomas.
plagiarising wee bastard.
I thought if you would fake it to make it, I'll give you that, Thomas. Brad's what's been happening? Go Steelers.
Well, I've actually just getting over the lurgy that you and Ando probably should have got, considering you have spent like copious amount of hours in a pressurised fart chamber. But I'm doing all right. I'm buzzing obviously to be wearing my Gorgie t-shirt that Tam delivered this weekend. Oh wait, no, he
Right.
never. It was last
Kev.
weekend he was meant to deliver it. No, it was the weekend before he was meant to deliver it.
It's some
Aye,
laugh
actually,
that it takes
still not delivered that.
it takes 4 days to get from India to Whitburn and then 4 weeks to get from Whitburn to East Calder. People think that we just make it up that he's a useless week, but honestly, we've been away for 3 weeks. I don't know. I don't know what else. My favourite thing is the fact that now people have had to put up with Shanks and Tam, so I think they now feel sorry for us and know what it's like to have to fucking hang about with them. So, Kev, what's been happening?
Nothing, just missed. Well, I missed you, Corbett. I wouldn't say I missed Ando because he's a boring, annoying bastard. But there you
You
go.
know, fuck you, Kev. You know what? And I'm really happy that Tam pissed all over your fucking bathroom floor last week. Get that right, Rungy.
It's not my fault he can't hold his fucking drink. But there you go. But there
Well,
you
this is
go.
more aggressive than I imagined, but this is fun. I enjoy
It
it.
is.
It's a nice,
What
Right,
happens?
friendly,
but mate,
nice,
I've had
friendly
five
Welcome.
welcome.
weeks of this. 5 weeks of this all saved up. Each and every one of you are getting it tonight, apart from Corbett.
Pent up frustration. That's what it is.
Well, Ando, now you're back. You're back in this hemisphere. How was your travels?
That was good, man. It was. I really enjoyed my time away. The one thing that I will say for it is that it's a completely different experience having Hearts fuck you up at all the wrong times of the day. I'm used to having my day ruined at 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock on a Saturday in midweek. See, having to get up and watch your beloved team at all the wrong times. It's stressful. It's horrible. I would not recommend it, but we'll cover that in more detail because I've got a lot of things I need to say.
Well, if you were in Australia any longer, you were going to get a World Cup call, wouldn't you?
Well, just about, aye.
It's actually embarrassing. Is there any Australians in Australia? Like, what are they doing over there?
Nah, man, there's no one. The only people that actually are in Australia are British expats. All the Australians grow up and they come over here to work in pubs as soon as they hit 21. So there's nobody
Or
over there.
play for Hearts?
Aye.
That's
Spot
true.
on.
Tam, what's been happening?
Man, just keeping the ship afloat, delivering loads of t-shirts, hosting podcasts.
Right.
Welcome to the HMS Titanic.
Well, I was going to shout out Shanks for his words of wisdom on Saturday. And it's true. We watched 45 minutes of the first half, and out of all the players that he thought was absolute shite, he picked probably the best player on the park to say had been having a terrible game. And Gino, I think that tells you everything that you need to know about Shanks. So we'll sidestep him. Well, Welcome back to This Is My Story, your unofficial Hearts podcast. As we say every week, and especially this week, since it's been about 5 weeks since we last spoke with each other, miles off it, terrible opinions. So if you want sense, common sense, I would listen to Scarfs Around the Funnel, because you're not getting it here.
That's fair.
Aye. So this week we'll obviously talk about game on Saturday. Played Livingston. We'll catch up a little bit about. We've had Motherwell in there as well. We had Istanbul. Talk about the European campaign. We briefly how it went. What was good. What was bad. Highs and lows. We'll obviously talk about World Cup breaks. What does that look like for Hearts? Does it benefit us, etc., etc.? I'm pretty sure they have a meaningless friendly for Scotland in there as well, or something.
This week, Turkey.
Can't believe you've sunk that far.
Brilliant, man. I'm just, it's going to go to one of my points about a player that's starting to do my head in, but it's we've already covered that it's sacrilege to give him a hard time, but it's something that we'll talk about. VAR, because it's a good laugh, and it's obviously kicked off with barely an incident, so we just discuss whether there's any point to it, because it's getting everything right, seems to be spot on every week, and no one seems to have any issues with it. So we'll discuss, was it a waste of money? We'll get meetings with the clubs this week in terms of atmosphere, the Gorgie Ultras. We've got a big Hearts thing coming up in December as well, like we did with Robbie and Lockie and Jamie McDonald. And then we'll just talk about the importance of starting after the break on the front foot, because we get 1, 2, 3 home games, 2 of them straight back to back. So the importance in our success all last season was built on our home record. So we'll dive into that and we'll talk shite in between. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Marvellous.
I don't know if it's on your list or you just purposely pied it, but we did have a trip to Ibrox last week as well.
I know I patched it.
Okay.
And you want to talk about 210 minutes of football against the Rangers side on its fucking knees, and we didn't have a shot on target. Do you want to talk about that? Because I don't.
I'm good.
Good. Let's move on. A Rangers side that actually dropped points this weekend again. Lost to St Johnstone, dropped points to St Mirren, but guess what? Managed to pick up all 3 versus Hearts. There we go. Fantastic. Thanks for that, Tim. Right,
Sorry.
Brad, since I've been away, somebody thought it'd be a good idea to let you come up with a feature. So talk us through the feature. What we doing? What is it?
This feature is called "The Fuck Did He Come From?"
Yes, I like that.
I'm going to give you a list of clubs that this player has featured for. You've just got to tell me who the player is.
Right.
Um,
Is it just a shout out, or wait till we hear all the...
There's 5 to go through, so
right,
jot them down and then we can maybe circle back to it at the end. So I'll give you an example. If I give you the example, Hearts, Newcastle, Hearts, Dundee,
Robbo.
Lovey, that would obviously be Robbo. Okay, because it's the first week, there's some easy ones in there. There's a couple of difficult ones, and if this is a hit, then we'll maybe do it by positions going forward or something like that. I don't know. Make it more fun.
Sam's panicking already.
I love it. Well, I love that you already bailed out of it straight away. You picked it up for 30 seconds and I went, if it's any fucking good, we'll do it.
This is a pitch idea.
If you're not into it, nobody else got to be into it. Maybe just day 2 to begin with, and then we'll see, because this is what we did the last time when we were doing like conundrums and all that. Even though there's 8,000 Hearts players that ever played for Hearts, we're doing 10 a week or something. So by about week 3, we had no one left today, and we just kept going back to Harry Cochrane. So maybe day 2, see how we get on, and then we'll maybe do some more.
Right, okay. We'll go for it. Player number 1. Okay, and again, some of them easy, some of them difficult. Panios, Panathinaikos, Benfica, Hearts, Panathinaikos. So write that player down. Panios, Panathinaikos, Benfica, Hearts, Panathinaikos. Okay. Player 2. Inverness, Hearts, Rangers, Shrewsbury, Blackpool.
Cool.
So player 2 is Inverness, Hearts, Rangers, Shrewsbury, Blackpool.
Can we just guess now, or do we have to wait?
We can do it at the end if you want. I can do it once I've done all 5, then you can give us a shout out. Okay, 3. Hearts.
Oh,
That's
I did
the
say
only
it.
one.
I started off easy.
Right.
Okay, 3. Hearts, Everton, Sheffield, Huddersfield, Aberdeen, East Fife.
Which Sheffield?
That doesn't matter. It's Gary Naismith.
United. Cheers. Aye. Well, thanks for listening, guys. This feature is shite.
The good thing is that we gave Tam the answers, and it's funnier when he doesn't get it.
Right. Tam, number
was
4's
actually
for
all
you.
right for
Aye,
those two.
Tam, number 4's for you. Valencia, Getafe, Levante, Almira, Hearts, Nagasaki, Murcia.
What?
Valencia.
He's not got the cold. These are all football teams, Tam.
Is that no the office building in Die Hard?
Aye.
Nagasaki.
Nagasaki Tower.
Valencia, Getafe, Levante, Almira, Hearts, Nagasaki, Murcia.
Do you want to say it?
Go for
We'll
it.
just wait. I've just stuck Palazuelos down there. Could be anyone.
It's not.
Okay.
And player 5, Ballyclare, Ballymena, Bristol, Peterborough, Hearts.
Oh, who'd be saying for Peterborough? That was shite.
So, are we just going to do the answers now?
Aye.
Why
May as
not?
well.
We gave pretty
So,
much all of them.
the first 3 were obviously quite easy. First one was obviously Takis. I'm pretty sure everybody got that.
Speaking
Number
of
2.
Takis, next week we will have a giveaway for the Takis Thesis event thing. We'll have some of the meet and greet tickets we'll give away for free on the podcast. Been talking to the guy that arranged it. He's pretty keen for Hearts fans to get on board. He helped arrange the Rudy thing, but the reason that I ended up talking to him was because I messaged them basically to say the Rudy thing was a shambles and you can't fleece fans and all that sort of stuff. So we had a good conversation. He explained what had happened, etc., etc. So I'll give you some details as to how this event's going to be different. He's parted companies with some of the folk on the night that added to the night being a total shambles. So he's assured us that the night's going to be much better and that Takis is an absolute gentleman. So aye, stay tuned. Nice professional link, Brad's. I loved it.
Perfect, right. Player 2, Inverness, Hearts, Rangers, Shrewsbury, Blackpool. Kev?
Ian Black.
Is Ian Black. Kev, you got a plug for Ian Black's Tiling Company now?
I was going to say he's just about to next week. He's coming to paint my. He's coming to paint my walls. I'll get a thing. See me get a gift voucher for Greg's Apple.
3, Hearts, Everton, Sheffield, Huddersfield, Aberdeen, East Fife. You've already shouted it out. Ando, which was?
Naismith.
Yep, Gary Naismith. Okay, 4, Valencia, Getafe, Levante, Almira, Hearts, Nagasaki, Murcia. Corbett.
Is he like a 2010 player?
No, he's 14 to 16.
14, 16. Say it again.
Valencia, Getafe, Levante, Almira, Hearts, Nagasaki, then back to Spain for Murcia.
Juanma.
It's not Juanma.
Pallardo
Pallardo?
played for.
Who
He
shouted
played for
Pallardo?
Guitar. Me.
Miguel
us did it.
Pallardo is the correct answer.
Mate, Steve Banks me in there as well.
See, when I said Palazuelos, I actually thought Pallardo.
Aye. All right, Tam.
I didn't know he played for Valencia or Getafe.
I'd be like Valencia C team or something like that.
No, it was the main event. I think he played like one game. Right, 5, Ballyclare, Ballymena, Bristol, Peterborough, Hearts. Tam.
I've got this one. Michael Smith.
It is Michael Smith. So there we go. That was the one time you guys are ever going to hear that feature, so enjoy.
I liked it.
Because we gave you all the answers. The only reason you liked it.
I broke his an easy, so we can make it a wee bit more difficult going forward if we're going to do it.
Any Lithuanian player between the years of whatever.
But then that doesn't work because all of them would went Kaunas, Hearts, Kaunas. So you're like, anybody. Literally every player that ever played for Hearts.
I quite like it. I think you got the basis of a good wee feature. Just maybe get some proper head scramblers in there just to watch Tam squirm.
Hey, get an easy one and a hard one.
That's it. We'll do that going forward. Maybe make them a wee bit more difficult.
Right.
Aye, there we go.
Thanks, Brad. Right, Kev. Answers to last week's, because I believe you never put them on Twitter.
No, Tom never put them on Twitter. Even although I sent them to him.
You don't got fingers, Kev.
The,
No,
the
you can't
evidence
do
don't
is
have the
that.
stacking
account,
up
mate.
like. Yeah, and he's not looked at the account either, or would he be fucking retweeting rum every 2 weeks saying, "Oh, the Ford Focus is the best reliable car I've ever had." Hashtag give me one. Fuck off, Kev, man. Every fucking second tweet.
Leave him alone. He doesn't know how to work Twitter. He's stuck on Bebo though.
Aye. They're on MySpace if anybody's interested. Aye.
Oh, fuck your people, man. That's
Aye.
horrible.
Hey, go, Kev.
So, yeah, the other week there, the clues were best sticking to basketball, ABBA, Six, and MLS. And I done that just because you were actually in the States at the time, Corbett. And the answers to
Aye.
that was
Bjorn Johnson.
Fish.
You missed the opportunity to say like how many Bjorn Johnsons was it between me and your house or something, because he's a giant
That's
and
about
all,
three.
isn't
It's
he?
about 3.
Aye.
Is he
And
not a player now?
I don't know, man. It's hard to tell. Innit? I was registered for the MLS. I was only there for 11 days. The same didn't keep you up. He's outside a Walmart or something. Else.
With 2 shattered knees.
Aye. Signed for Inter Miami or whatever they're called.
fucking brilliant. And the second one was Ulster, Rotherham, Easter Road, and right player, wrong time. I think, Ando, you got that one in the group chat, didn't you?
Aye, it was the capital of where I was, wasn't it?
Yes, correct.
Cool.
remember.
Well, just leave it at that and let Tam try and figure it out.
Yeah,
Work
go on,
out
Tam.
work
Tell
out
us.
the capital of the Caribbean.
Nah,
Oh,
I don't
yes,
know what it
yes.
is. I don't know what
Capital
it is.
C.
It's Connor
Well,
Washington.
Oh, Connor Washington.
Connor
Why did you
Washington.
say it like
That's also
I don't
because I
know.
sent him the bloody answers.
You sound like a 10-year-old vlogger. Hi guys, welcome back to my vlog. I've got Hearts versus Livingston. My favourite player is Connor Washington.
Smash that like and subscribe.
Tam, how are your bollocks this evening? Because they've taken a fair fucking pounding already, and we're only fucking 18 minutes in here.
No.
You're gonna be all right for the rest of the
It
night.
was actually quite nice when it was just me and Kev.
What did Kev take your balls like?
He was smashing my balls and all.
You said it in person and you said how much you liked it, and now I understand why.
Amazing.
Jesus, I'm never leaving you two alone ever again. Right, Kev. You should for one.
So 4 months for this week, and we'll get answers at the end. First one is poker, scared, IKEA, and curly. Should be an easy one. And the second one is Vilnius, a success, 100 appearances, and Samson Spore, whoever the hell they are.
I'm sure they were like the goalie gloves folk used to buy when they went to like macro or something like that back in the
Macro,
90s. You'd
fucking
come
hell,
back
man.
with your mad goalkeeper gloves.
Is that the yellow ones with the black rubbery bits on them?
Aye.
So what was that clue two,
Right,
Kev?
hear them again.
Vilnius.
Vilnius, success, 100 appearances, and Samson Spore. Whoever the fuck they are.
Aye. Don't be saying that when we get them in the Conference League next year. They'll fucking
I
take
know.
5 off us and we'll be talking about how good a team they are. Right, coolio. What do you want to do first? Some headlines? Do you want to? Well, we'll do headlines first, and then we'll do our wee sort of season review because we can tie that into how it went against Livy and all that sort of stuff as well. So, World Cup break coming up. Have any seen the ridiculous videos of like them saying, "Oh, the England fans have arrived," and like the pure fake videos of the fans because everybody's boycotting? Have you seen them?
No,
The Brazil and Argentina ones were amazing. They had like their own wee samba band full of Qataris getting paid to be Brazil fans. It's amazing.
Basically just paid locals to pretend that they're like England fans, so they're like walking down the street with a banner saying "It's coming home," and then like, what the fuck, man? And then English person there. It's funny. Is anybody going to pay any attention to the World Cup? Do we care just because there's some Hearts players playing in it?
I hope none of them get injured. I'll be concentrating on that.
I'll just come right out and say it. Could not give less of a fuck if I tried.
Well-
Although that said, I do have a very nice World Cup wall chart to write all the scores in. Up on the wall
Sounds
over
like
there
you
that
give a
can't see.
fuck, mate. To be honest, but,
I'm just joking, Tam. Couldn't give a shit about international football. End of line drawn.
I suppose I'll have some interest in it just because I'm trying to think. I'm sure it's one for Hearts Heritage or whatever, but we probably only have ever had 3 players at the World Cup. Will we have?
I actually seen it was 5 in total.
At
I
one
don't
World
have the
Cup?
names. No, not at one World Cup, but in total for history. Hearts
As
Museum
in,
tweeted
we've
it.
only ever been 5 Hearts players that have been to the World Cup. Mental that whilst playing for Hearts or just in total?
Whilst playing for Hearts.
Right, okay.
And
I was
4
gonna
of them
say-
are Australian.
Aye, and 3 of them are away right now.
And Ryan McGowan, so that's what, 4
He
then.
didn't get
Nah,
called
he
up
didn't
though,
play.
did he? No?
He didn't
Yeah.
play with Hearts at the time, was it?
Oh, I nearly
Yeah, it
did.
was.
He was over in China at that time, wasn't he?
I should probably get you the names. Just talk amongst yourselves.
I don't pay any attention to any other Hearts podcast, and Ryan McGowan's on that podcast, so he's on the mute list. I'm only kidding.
No, you're not.
But you're not though.
I can. We in terms of us, it's a welcomed break in it. Kind of treat it as a wee mini pre-season, I'd imagine. No,
I
Aye.
think it's a good wee respite. I think every team's going to be saying exactly the same. That it would be class to get their injury list. Look at Rangers' substantial injury list. Quite a lot of other clubs are the same, but I think when we look at how substantial ours is, a few, what is it, 6 weeks, 7 weeks? That's
Aye.
a good.
Six,
That's
I
a
think.
good. That's a good time to kind of to get some legs back and hopefully some faces back as well.
You're hoping Australia are pumped out straight away, like so that we can actually get them back, because the longer they're away, obviously the more they're going to miss whatever we do here, if you know what I mean.
More
And
Does
money,
they-
but
Probably
I was
will
gonna-
do.
I was just about to ask the money that we're due to get for them taking part, is that dependent on the amount of games they play, or just a fixed
Aye,
fee?
it's
Days
however
away.
many
If they made it
it's
all the way
days
to the
away.
final.
Something was
Days
it,
away.
Brad? Like £13,000 per player
£9
per
grand.
day.
£9
Aye, so
grand a day.
it works out. It works out 40%. I'm very clued up on this because I thought they were getting £500,000 each.
Because you made a cut.
Um,
Aye, okay.
Aye.
Glad you made.
I think it's £9,000 a day for every day they're away at
Aye.
service.
And I think the penalty aside on Saturday, I think it's everybody can see the difference that even just having Kairos back has made to the team. So it's imperative that whatever happens, probably we've got way too many midfielders, so we could probably afford an injury to Devlin. Not that I want him to get injured, and Atkinson's hot or cold. To be honest with you, I'm surprised he even got a call up. If I'm being brutally honest with you, because he's out of all the Australians that we have, he's probably the least convincing in a Hearts jersey so far. But imperative to get them back. So that's World Cup football finished. That's the last time we'll talk about that.
can we tell you the
Uh,
names?
Of what?
The players that played.
No, what? Dave Mackay.
Yeah.
David Weir.
Yep.
And
Levine.
then is it like
1990.
aye,
Craig Levine.
Yep. And
Gary Mackay?
no,
No,
Dave
Rob will go.
McPherson
Dave McPherson. Did he play with Hearts at that time?
must have done.
Must have been his
And-
first
And
stint.
then some 1905 guy or something.
Nah,
Huh.
Donald Ford was the other one.
I don't know. Oh,
Oh,
there
he
we
went
go.
to 76.
There we go.
78 World
Fair
Cup.
enough.
Oh well. And now Nathaniel Atkinson joins that illustrious list of Hearts legends. Fair enough. Right, let's talk about the elephant in the room, as it's been for 3 weeks now. VAR. So VAR, I've obviously been on my holidays, so seen some of the decisions for Hearts against Hearts in different games, etc., etc. But Saturday was my first experience of VAR in Scottish football as a live game in the flesh type thing. I'm an absolute wank, as you know, and half of me loved the fact that it was mental, and it made it just crazy because I like things like that. I like when things go tits up and everybody's like, "What the fuck is going on?" I enjoyed that aspect of it, but actually looking at it as a tool where it's supposed to get the big decisions right, it has been pretty bananas so far, to be honest with you. How's your we'll obviously talk about the individual decisions in the Hearts game later, but what's been your overall engagement with VR? Who's enjoying it? Who's no? What's your thoughts?
I hate it, man.
Consistently, inconsistently, isn't it?
I hate it. What did you say, Brad? You said something semi-sensible there, I think.
Consistently inconsistent.
Oh, fuck's sake. That's like a wall thing you would get in B&M.
Live, laugh, love.
You put that up at your desk at work.
think-
For me, you hit the nail on the head when we were chatting this week. Hi, for the first time ever. You can't have a system in place with part-time officials. And the other side of things, these guys who are doing VAR, for me, have to remain completely neutral. And let's not pretend that these refs aren't all pals with each other and meet up and chat every day. So if Corbett fucks up and makes a mistake, I'm very unlikely to one, overrule him, or two, try and make a cunt of him by calling him out on these kind of things.
Oh, if it was me, I would be.
Aye, well, we'd all do it for you, yes.
But I think, Ando, I know that we disagree on some of the decisions that happened on Saturday, but we've called out on this before about it's been clear without VR when you're in a game and somebody just guesses. We had a couple of instances there on Saturday where the balls went out for a corner and you can see the linesman looking at the ref and the ref looking at the linesman going, I have no idea.
Who's calling it? Yeah.
Who's calling it? Who's going to take some responsibility here and stick their hand up? So that's why we keep harping on about full-time refs was more important than VR, because in our games we see it all the time. We at the Livingston game at Livingston, Brads, we were watching the linesman be 5 yards behind play and then putting his flag up. And you're like, you got the right decision, but you have no idea if that was right or not. You've just stuck your hand, you've took a total punt and stuck your flag up. The reason they got the offside goal thing right at the free kick, he guessed. He had no idea that Stephen Humphreys played that boy on at the back post or whatever. And that's for me, which is the worry for VR. Now you've got the guys that in real time, without the technology, were guessing. Now they've got the technology, they're still guessing.
I think part of it maybe comes down to as well as the ambiguity on some of the rules.
Yep.
It's like if you look at like the handball in the penalty box, right? So what is and as much as it pains me to admit it, Mikey Stewart made a really good point on one of the episodes of Sports Scene that I seen, which was you're talking about your pardon me, your arm being in an unnatural position, right? But then that is a natural position that in this particular incident, if the guy was running, so it is a natural position, but by the letter of the law, it's unnatural because your hands should be by your side. So there's not enough clarity on the X's and the Y's of the rules. I think that is some of the stuff that we're also seeing play through as well. Is
Aye.
that probably just that needs tightened up a little bit? And you think we're so far down the pavement with this. Like obviously, it's been going on in England for ages. You think they'd have time to clarify the bits and bobs of these rules that are causing the ambiguity, but they haven't yet, and that's
Aye.
the bit that's fucking frustrating.
I don't know why they're so desperate to bring it in midway through the first part of the season. I find mental, and we spoke about before the sums or the sums of amounts of money that are meant to be paid is like stupid. Like depending on where you finished in the league, you can spend up to £60,000 or whatever, or no less than £60,000 on your VAR systems, but you can spend upwards of £200,000 or whatever if you earn more where you're in the league positions and stuff. And that's another thing that is making it farcical, Kev, is the fact that you look at, we'll keep the Hearts tinted glasses out of it, and we'll talk about our own decisions and when we talk about Livingston on Saturday. But you look at the Jota one against Motherwell, like camera angles are these, man. We said this 2 months ago to say if VAR is coming in and we're relying on Nokia 3210 footage for the backy section G to tell you what's happened in the Hearts goal in front of the Gorgie, we're fucked. Because how can you seriously look at those images and get a true reflection of what's actually happening?
It's shambolic from start to finish. I think it's been a rush as well. Again, this whole element we spoke about months ago in regards to it coming in halfway during the season. Would it not be better to actually have it at the end? You know, like at the end of the year, end of the season. Right, we're going to start VAR and start it from next season. That would be the fairest judgment. The other element,
Bollocks.
why? Why is it bollocks?
I
Well,
never heard what you said, Kev.
why does it even matter if you've got the technology? and it helps improve for a element of scenarios, then just fucking bring it in. It's like you don't develop something that which could be obviously it turns out it's not, but could be revolutionary for the game. But actually, you could bring it in early, but no, let's just fucking wait because we might upset one half of the old firm. Get that fucking idea right in the
No,
bin.
but it's not about upsetting anybody, but it's down to the fact that what we're saying, Ando, is that quite clearly at Motherwell, the standard of the cameras and everything else is not up to what it is at Tynecastle, Ibrox, maybe Pittodrie, I don't know. And this
Aye.
is what Corbett's raising, is the fact that we can't be having a camera that's at one end of the park to identify if the guy's offside at the other end of the park. We need to make sure that everybody's playing on the same level, and that quite clearly isn't the case.
And that isn't going to change by the end of the season, though, is it?
But we could be in a better position where clubs are able to get the support. We're able to actually put in place something that would allow every single team to have the same technology.
Well,
Well,
this is the beauty. We can agree to disagree on that.
That's
the
fine.
the technology thing is for me is one half of the argument, but like VR is right. That's the whole point of it, right? It works if it's used properly, but when you have part-time officials who it's not their job, they're not trained fully like the guys in England, etc., etc. One of my mates' brothers is one of the technicians for VR. Never played football in his life, just a geek that knows how to work a computer. He's in like you'd never like how then you look at the Hibs penalty against Kilmarnock on Saturday. How can anybody look at that situation play out and say that's a penalty to Kilmarnock? It's stupid. Anybody that's even played fives for 5 minutes would know the body strength for the touch that you would have to put onto somebody to get them to go down in that scenario. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the ball's interpretation of the law, again, like Ando said, is the stuff that you find baffling, and that's why, for example, we went back and forth in the group chat about it, Ando, but you know, anywhere else on the park, that challenge between Cammy Devlin and the goalkeeper is a free kick, right? Now, you're right, the ball's away, Cammy Devlin wasn't scoring a header, etc., because the goal scoring opportunity, which is the opposite of the Nubly one, where he gets a shot away, etc. Cammy Devlin, whether he didn't get poleaxed by the keeper or no, wasn't headering that ball in the back of the net. But it's the same thing where if Gino knocks it past Oblai into the corner and goes to sprint past him, and Oblai just steps in front of him and takes him out. He's got no intention of winning the ball or getting the ball, and that's where, like you said, it becomes, well, what's the interpretation of the law? The goalkeeper has come out to win the ball, hasn't won the ball, completely and utterly poleaxed the player. So, by the definition of the rules, it probably is a foul. So, and the handballs as well. Like the other thing that's been totally missed, and I never even seen it coming, was the fact that, and we know that we laugh Celtic and Rangers, etc., and their paranoia and all that sort of stuff, but the lengths and now the pressure that's been put on the VR officials and officials in general by Celtic because they're not getting the decisions in games that they've already won and they think there's some sort of conspiracy. You're telling me that, say, for example, Celtic got a penalty for the handball with Mikey Smith. You're telling me Toby Sibbick doesn't get a penalty on Saturday for the handball against Livingston? Like we had two pretty clear cut, and this is where it comes up. Well, what's the interpretation of the law? But in terms of consistently what we've seen so far, those handballs that were in the game on Saturday for Hearts weren't any worse or less of a handballs than the ones that we've had last week. So you think, well, where the fuck is the consistency, man?
Do you feel, and this is one for you, Corbett, because nobody really asked you any questions, but do you feel that it's a case now that the official doesn't want to make a decision?
Aye, you seen that on Saturday, Kev? You seen that on Saturday? What? Why would you? Why
Aye.
would you, Kev? Why would you make the big call when you can blame Tam? Do you know what I mean? I might come down here and say, I've got a feature for you, do it, and it flops, and I say, well, it was Brad's idea. Like as soon as you give, VR's supposed to be there to back you up. They're supposed to make your decision right. But you see it in England as well. As soon as you know to do this, whatever the decision is that the guy in that office has said, they're getting it. Like we've seen it once in England where the refs looked at the screen and went, "No, I'm sticking with my original decision." And that's what it is. And the Livingston one out of everything, we'll take the Hearts glasses off, right? The Livingston penalty and sending off for Kairos. How was that missed in the game? There's a linesman 15 yards away from it, looking directly at it, and the referee right there in the centre. Like, how did they miss that? So the worry is the referee either seen it and never gave the penalty because he got his shot away. So thought, well, never scored anyway or whatever. So, or he still managed to do it. So it never affected him shooting. Therefore, no penalty. Or he's seen it and thought, I did want to make that call. Just play on. Because if I got it wrong, VAR will call me back anyway, and I can just say, well, VAR picked it up. Do you know what I mean? And that's sadly, and the worry is, that's what it looks like. That's what it's looking like right now.
And bear in mind, we've only had it in a couple of weeks. It's like you look at the sort of pain and torture that the English guys have went through with implementation of VAR. They went through like a good couple of, was it 2.5 seasons or something like that? Well, 2 or 3 seasons, however long they've had it, and it's taken them a while. They've had to ratify a few things down, and we're going to be in exactly the same boat until we can get used to it. We've kind of went into the supermarket, bought it off the shelf, and then said, "Aye, cool, it's going to fix all the problems." Definitely isn't. It's going to take the rest of this season and probably half of next season for everyone to get that level of consistency that Corbett's talking about.
I don't think we'll get there. Celtic are strategic, right? Celtic have getting their ducks in a row because look at what they've been like getting decisions no going their way in matches they've won. You imagine they lose to Rangers, or they lose 2 games in a row and they lose the league to Rangers because of these decisions. What they're doing right now is undermining the whole process by, and the other thing that's annoying me too that we never, no other managers gets today is this whole, we've speaking to the SFA and getting answers for why the decisions didn't go our way. Why is that even allowed? They should be told no. Like, no one else gets that. I didn't hear David Martindale got the SFA this week to ask why it wasn't a handball with Alan Forrest or why Alec Cochrane didn't get sent off. So they are playing, they play and feeding into their paranoia, just waiting for that one decision that costs them, and they will unleash holy hell and get VAR binned in Scotland. I'm telling you, that's what they're doing.
Do you want me to
There we
start
go.
emailing my pal at the SFA?
There's my tinfoil hat stuff. Keep it that. Right. Go back to some decent. Anybody else got anything they want to talk about with VR? Obviously, we'll talk about our individual decisions when we talk about Livingston on Saturday. But anything else that's caught your eye that's made you laugh with VR so far?
No,
I could be
I'm
here
all
all
for
night.
it though. I've
Countless
I've
incidents.
I've not experienced it live at a game yet because it feels like a fucking lifetime ago. I was actually at Tynecastle, but I can't wait for the fucking roller coaster.
Well, you know what, Ando?
Uh,
You know how you're a really patient guy and you like things to
it
take time and that? Everything takes fucking ages.
takes ages. It's funny. The best thing was, see the Livingston penalty, right? I can't remember. I think we got a corner or something or a throw in, and then they were like checking VR, and everybody around the bit was like, "Yes, checking VR," and I was like, "For what? We haven't done it. Like, what possibly could they be looking for the Hearts? We've literally took a bye kick,
it's a
went up the
magic
park and
penalty.
got a throw in. I'm like, what? It's for Livingston, you fucking idiots! Like, what? How did you? Are you just ignoring the fact that they just got their man absolutely decked in the box? And then when he was like, "Well, run and go check VR," everybody was like, "Yes, yes." I was like, "What are you talking about? What is going on?" So for that aspect, I'm enjoying it. It's good. It's good part to see everybody lose their absolutely mind. But I don't know. I genuinely don't see a long-term future for VR if it continues the way that it goes. Plus, the other aspect of it is that every single game now, every single game, every radio phone in, every highlight show is just going to be a VR got this wrong. VR got that wrong. Why did VR not look at this? How did VR look at this but come to this conclusion? And it's just going to suck the life out of it. So, the joys. Right. Before we move on, we'll do a wee bit of a review thing. The season so far, I'll just catch you up on tomorrow. We'll get obviously a meeting with the club around atmosphere and sort of reclassification, the Tynecastle in terms of making little sections of the stadium for whatever demographic you fall into in terms of singing, dancing, ultras, families, hospitality, etc., etc. So anything exciting that comes out of that, we'll keep you posted. Myself and Laurie Dunsire are going to be doing another Big Hearts event, so I'll keep you posted with that. It'll be in person again, probably in the Gorgie Suite sometime in December. And we have a Robo interview this Friday, so that should hopefully be with you as quickly as we can turn it around. So I'm buzzing for that. And that's pretty much it for headlines. And if there's anything else we've missed, boys, what are you thinking?
Yeah, pretty much it.
Does anybody know if we've got any friendlies set up over the weeks that we are international football's going on? Have they heard
Probably,
anything?
Probably like
behind
closed door
closed
ones or
doors.
something. Yeah.
Aye. With a couple of friendlies. I don't know why, but I have it in my head that we played Stoke again. We played Stoke in like one of the breaks to get some minutes in the legs for some of the guys coming back for injury, etc. There's another thing as well, right? Why is Stephen Humphries still out? He was a kick in the shin or something like that, and he was going to be just rested for the weekend and then was going to be sound, and we've not seen him for 3 weeks.
Surely you could say that about any of the injuries we've had in the last 4 months.
I was going to say, this is the Hearts PR machine that is going to be out for a couple of weeks. Turns out it's actually a year and a half.
Aye. What, like, same with Craig Halkett. Craig Halkett was in like the squad to play like
one of the
fucking
European games.
Fiorentina at home or something like that, when he only came on Saturday. Actually, that's just reminded me to vent my absolute frustration at the Connor Smith substitution on Saturday, but I'll cover that when we get to the Livingston
I'm glad,
review.
because it annoyed me too.
Aye, shambles. Right, well, there we are now. Obviously, I don't know, we call it's just a bit over a quarter of the season gone into it, and just a handful of more games than what it is because of the World Cup break. We're sitting 5 points off third, is that right? 4 points off third.
5.
They're
So,
25, we're 20.
I'm
Right.
frightened to look, man.
So 5 points off that. Were we sixth or something, or fifth?
Fifth.
Aye, fifth. So had a wee look to see that Saturday was our 24th game of the season, competitive game of the season, given one League Cup game, 8 games in Europe, and then obviously the 15 league games. You look around our rivals, etc. I think Aberdeen have played 17 games, competitive games. I think they played one more League Cup game than we have because we get knocked out, and they fucking didn't, obviously. So, keys it just quickly around the table. Kev, how's the start of the season been for you?
Frustrating, I think, is probably the one word from my point of view. Frustrating in regard to how we finished last season, and that's followed into this season with the inconsistency. I think there's also the element of frustration from the point of view of how many injuries we've had, and these injuries have been, as we've just spoken about, things that you expect to be a week to 10 days, and before you know it, they're out for 6 to 8 weeks. So from that point of view, I would say frustrating so far.
Sam, what's your thoughts?
Similar to Kev, it has been
Shock.
an up and down season. I think we've been lucky to still be in it with only 5 points behind. I think once we get our bodies back going into the new year, well, the end of the year after the World Cup, I think we should be in a better place. But I'm just glad we're no out of it at this point. But no team seems to want to beat each other and push away like they did last season. So I think, yeah, I'm glad we're not in Europe any longer, for the sense that we can just play our league games and make sure we're in Europe again next year, to be fair.
Ando?
One word: predictable. Every single fucking thing that has happened to us over the last couple of months is stuff that we've spoken about at length on previous episodes. I don't think there's anything that's come up that's been an absolute surprise. The injury list being what it is, not the depth of squad, the fact that we can't fight on two fronts at the same time. It's just, this is just just predictable. This is stuff that was spoken about for fucking weeks on end, even before I went off on holiday. So to find us in 5th place, 21 points from 15 games, entirely predictable. I'm not surprised in the slightest.
Brad's.
Oh, a miserable bunch of bastards you are. I'm quite happy, aye. I'm actually fairly pleased with the season. I expected us to be in a substantially worse position. I didn't think we'd be able to juggle the 2 games a week at all, let alone be sitting in fifth and only a few points away. Add on the fact that our injury list is probably up there, one of the worst it's ever been. We've all been there and we've seen these injury lists and then watched the club absolutely crumble. We've not necessarily done that. For me, I think it's not been pretty at times, but we're getting there, and I think it seems to be a better buzz around the club just now, and I'm enjoying that. So you guys can fuck off and Danny sit with me again.
Who the
Well-
fucking who are you, man? Like,
Well, wait,
you're
Ando,
never coming back.
but you're wait just now because I'm pretty much on the same page as Brad's. I've got. Well, I'm no.
Right,
I'm.
guys,
I'm
it
also.
was a
These
real
next week,
big
boys.
pleasure seeing you for the first time in 6 weeks. I'm off. See you later. Bye.
I agree with the sentiment of Ando. Predictable. I think we called it some of the stuff that we would expect. The whole culture shock, Thursday, Sunday, etc. We kind of knew that was going to happen. The the sort of the quality over quantity approach in terms of the squad takes one to go out, and you're struggling, etc., etc. So yeah, predictable in those sense as well. I agree. But actually, looking at some of the numbers, some of the figures, right? We played 15 games this season. We played 4 times against the Old Firm already. Hibs, Aberdeen, etc., etc. They've only played them twice. They've played them once at home and once away. We've played them home and away twice. You got to take that into consideration for the games we have. I actually think the only really sort of unacceptable result that we've had so far in the league was losing at Livingston. I think that was a terrible performance, terrible result. You add in the fact that we talked about it before. Up until Motherwell last Sunday, our last home game was the 28th of August against anybody that wasn't European football or the Old Firm. You look at last season, I think we lost to Dundee, was the only team that beat us at Tynecastle outside Celtic and Rangers. So to be where we are right now, having played Ross County, Dundee United, St Johnstone, Motherwell, and Livingston at home, and only dropped points in one of those games, is pretty decent. Yeah, we would have liked to have been closer. The Rangers game at home, the 4-0 was unacceptable. We shouldn't lose to anybody by 4 at home, even in Europe. But that's a different argument. But I think Livingston away is the sort of standard outer is the worst of the bunch. But the I would have liked to have been closer. Saturday was a kick in the teeth. Again, no heart side in any guys, any league, any state should be failing to beat Livingston home or away. That shouldn't happen if the club wants to have any standards, let alone a club saying that they want to finish second and challenge, etc., etc. You can't be failing to beat Livingston twice. I get it. Saturday we had things happen, etc., etc. But that was disappointing, but not as disappointing as the away game. So predictable. I agree with that. I think we pretty much called it. It's then difficult. Can you do anything about that? Like, what could we have done? I'd say that Kev makes a valid point that we were really consistent in our starting 11s until we beat Hibs in the semi-final of the Scottish Cup. And then we started protecting players, rotating players, bringing players in, dropping players, resting players with one eye towards the Scottish Cup final because we already had Europe in the bag. And since then, we've really struggled to nail down a consistent team. Right now, cards on the table. What's our best formation and what's the best starting 11? Would anybody even be able to take a punt at that?
I have to read the tea leaves, man. I'm not sure.
Like, to begin, like, you look at the players that we have that have now came on to a game. So, for example, I'd say 4-2-3-1 is the formation that suits us the best. But then that means you're benching Kingsley or you're dropping Cochrane because Rouse and Halkett will play in the centre. So Cochrane's been our best player this season by an absolute country mile. Kingsley's our best left back. So you're saying, right, well, you have to play 3 at the back. You have to play Kingsley, Halkett, and Rouse. And then that means, well, how do you then fit in Snodgrass? How do you fit in Devlin? How do you fit in Gino, Mackay, Humphreys? Because you're not going to play 2 up front and still have width. How do you don't drop Andy Halliday? Andy Halliday's been our best player. So like, how do you fix this? What do we do when Benny comes back? I mean,
To be
so
fair, this is a better problem to have than we're currently going. Does
yeah,
anybody have a mate that can play?
aye, exactly. But it is. Do you know what I mean? It is a good thing to have right now, but it's also a headache where you think, well, we've never been able to play our starting 11, so we don't really know who our starting 11 is. And right now, Saturday, for example, you go back 8 months, and could you ever imagine us saying, actually, we could do with more Andy Hallidays, less Barry Mackay's? Do you know what I mean? Like, if we could have a team for Andy Hallidays, we'd be right at this very second. In this moment in time, we want somebody that is Ron Seal, just does exactly what he says in the tin, gives you 110%, doesn't shirk out of tackles, gives you it all, play any way you want. He's never going to set the world on fire. He's limited in ability, but you would take that over somebody that's got bags and bags and bags of potential, but sometimes can't be asked. You know, sometimes doesn't do it, sometimes just wanders and drifts in and out of games. So predictable, I get it, but I'm not too disappointed in where we are. I think, Ando, you might be able to do it because you've got the computer in front of you or whatever, but I'm pretty sure Aberdeen's first 2 games when they go back are Celtic and Rangers. I think Hibs' run of fixtures, know that Hibs are even in it because I think they're like 8th or something and they're absolute shite, but you know how we work, we have to look at our rivals. I'm pretty sure they play like Celtic, Rangers, and us all in like the 5 games before the turn of the year.
You're right
You're
on
right,
the Aberdeen point. They're at home to Celtic and then at home to Rangers in the first 2 games back, 17th and the 20th. You know what I'm also loving is the fact that a point that I drunkenly made in the group chat on Saturday has actually been picked up and used. I'm
Yeah.
delighted. I'm delighted with this. I'm definitely going to drink more often on the weekends.
What did we share? What was it?
It was the whole point about how we played the Ugly Sisters twice, and no one else has. So like after they get fucking pumped, it, like me being positive on a podcast is just not the done thing.
Yeah.
I did say that on Saturday as a crumb of comfort, but I'm never gonna say it publicly, and I've just completely ruined it there. But never
Well,
mind.
since it ties in, we just did the sort of quarter season, if that's what you call it now. Let's preview the games coming up after the split because we talked about the break and how it's came at a good time for us to get folk back, etc., etc. So when we come back, we play Kilmarnock at home, then St Mirren at home. I think we play Dundee United on Christmas Eve, St Johnstone on the 27th or something like that, potentially
28th. Yeah.
28th, and then we play Hibs at home. So there we've just said about the fact that most of our success has been built at home. There's 3 very winnable games there. Although Kilmarnock we just can't win. I think when was the last time we beat Kilmarnock? I think it's like 2010 or something like that. Fucking pain in the arse.
I
So
think it was the same season we beat St Johnstone away.
oh, brilliant. So superb. So no points for them. But do you want to go? Well, come on, why not? We like to make an ass of ourselves in the podcast anyway. Do you want to give us your predictions for those 5 games? Fuck it, we've got nothing else today, and it'll be a month before we have to be embarrassed that we made a dick yet. Right, and I'll come to you first. Kelly at home, St Mirren at home, Dundee United away, St Johnstone away, and then Hibs at home. How many
Come.
points?
Would it be a wank if I said 15?
I'm saying 15, so you can join my boat.
There you go. If I'm being honest, looking at those teams on paper, every fucking one of them absolutely winnable. If we get anything less than 15 from those 5 games, I'll be raging.
St Johnstone picked up a bit of form though, to be fair.
I know.
I think they're
Fuck St Johnson, they're a fucking gang.
exactly, but they have picked up some form right at the worst time when it comes to us. Tam, what are you thinking?
13. We'll draw in Perth.
That work out the math, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
4
Well
wins
done,
in a
Tam.
4
draw.
wins in a draw.
Well done, Tam. Brad's.
Used all his toes to figure that out.
Hey.
I'm going to say 8 points. Win, draw, defeat, draw.
Lose at St Johnstone.
Aye, we always lose at St Johnstone. When was the last time we went up there?
If we draw at home to Hibs, I'll fight Robbie.
Aye.
I'll fight him.
Right, you'll have to-
They are absolute gang. If
Aye.
Lee Johnson is still in a job by the time we play Hibs at Tynecastle, I'll honestly I'll be shocked. I'll be absolutely shocked. That wee guy, the guy that's having the mental breakdown for them, that's had about 47 different haircuts.
Aye, that
Like
McCurdy.
everybody just seems to be ignoring the fact he's clearly having some form of mental breakdown, and everybody's just ignoring it.
Who's your
Is
first
this-
goal scorer for that day?
Aye,
I
hat-trick.
was going to say, I think they're talking about Lee Griffiths there, but we'll
Aye.
gloss over that.
Aye. Right,
Because
Kev,
they've got was it Rangers, Livy, Celtic, Motherwell, Hearts? Is that their
Aye.
run?
Yep.
So he could well be out a job.
Aye.
Oof. Sorry, I steamrolled you there. I went full time.
That's all right, don't worry about it. Right, Kev, what are you thinking?
12.
12.
4 wins and a defeat.
Losing to St Johnstone.
So the loss will either be St Johnston or,
Don't
for
say
some bizarre reason, Dundee United.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Hibs.
No, mate.
Just to
Actually,
ruin
I'll-
our Christmas.
Aye,
Exactly.
I'm more worried about Kilmarnock at him, if I'm being honest with you. Like, what there are like teams, Livingston being a good example of it, that Robbie struggles to get or play against, and it's teams that are so utterly predictable. You know exactly what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, but we just didn't know how to stop them doing it.
Break them down.
Aye, do you know what I mean? Livingston were the same on Saturday, exact same as what it was like against Kilmarnock in the Cup, where you just knew that they were just going to get the big boy up front and go direct to him all the time and try and play off him. Like, and Hearts just didn't know how to deal with it. Brad's, what did I come to you to just give your prediction? Would you say
I
8?
did, aye. 8,
Today.
aye.
Fuck it, I'm sticking with 15. If we
6
want
nil
to
each
be,
one.
if we want to be considered and what to seriously finish third, we have to go on a run. We can't. We've been blaming 1 week. Right, we're getting 2 games and then the Old Firm, 2 games in the Old Firm, or whatever. We can't get a run together. Here we've got a wee stretch of games where we are only playing Celtic or Rangers for a bit, so we need to put a run together.
Exactly.
We need
We've
to
got
get
6
points
weeks.
before. Aye.
As somebody's already said, we've got 6 weeks to get the our injury list back down to something that resembles reasonable, and then we're playing, let's be honest, dog shit teams.
Aye.
If we can't get a run out of that, then nah. Hellmend fucking whoever has to edit the podcast on January 3rd after we've played Hibs and we review this shit.
Have we got?
Is Benny due back?
Who knows, man? Who
March.
knows?
He was out for 6 weeks, Brad.
Aye. Are we still having a winter break?
No, that's
Ah,
pie for the
It's
World Cup.
cancelled.
Oh, decent. Oh well, there's one good thing to come out of the winter break. Right, cool. Let's talk about Livingston Saturday. So at home versus Livingston, 1-1 draw. Pretty eventful game. My thoughts first, as I tweeted that, actually, I thought the first 45 minutes Hearts played pretty good. Controlled the game against a side that were 4-5-1, playing a low block. We're clearly here just to frustrate, try and get the crowd involved in a negative sense for Hearts. I thought Hearts were patient. Snodgrass was great. Cochrane, great. Thought Shanklin, Gino, Mackay interchanging, moving around, were lively. Keogh, right, I didn't, I
Don't
didn't
get
like,
it, man.
I didn't want to beat Hearts players, etc., etc. But my God, 45 seconds into the match, his first pass, he just passed it straight at the park. No man on him, no nothing. And I was like, okay, so it's going to be one of those days, is it? I was
And
like,
then I bet you he pointed to somebody else and said, "You should have been there," or something like that.
aye,
That's goodness.
and then no one was even in the vicinity, and I was like, okay, I was like, sound. But other than that, I thought we played pretty well, Kev. It was pretty comfortable for the first half, wasn't it?
It was the element of not taking our chances. I think we had 3 clear-cut chances in the first half. That
Aye, I was waiting on Brad's to come back so that Brad's could moan about the chances that we missed in the first half. But aye, you're right.
Oh, it's just. I will now pass over to Brad. Brad, chances missed in the first half.
Oh, they were murder, mate. Absolute murder. I think we look at Livy. For me, you look at Livy as a bad result, but that game was there for the taking. Absolutely there for the taking. They, for me, apart from Joe Nobley, caused very little bother. Their man at the end should absolutely bust the net. What was it? when he got
Aye,
the cut
Pittman.
back. Pittman should have busted there. But other than that, they created hee-haw, long ball, route one. We had, I don't know, 4 good chances from Shankland.
Aye.
Every single one of them should have been goals. Gino had 2. It's hard to keep criticising Robbie and criticising Shape when the players in the park are missing sitters like that. Halliday's sitter at Ibrox changes the game as well. You know what I mean?
Aye.
It's really difficult for a coach to manage this if your players aren't and taking these chances.
And it's something, Ando, that's a hangover for last season as well, that's actually creeped into this season too, is take Halliday out of the equation. Well, there is no goals in that team other than Shankland. Barry Mackay doesn't score. Devlin doesn't score. Keogh doesn't score. Haring doesn't score. Benny doesn't score. Cochrane stopped scoring. Mikey Smith doesn't score. No presence at set plays, and it's that thing where like all the pressure is on Shanklin to score. And if Shanklin doesn't score, you're looking at like a wonder goal for like a Gino or somebody to be in a purple patch like Andy Halliday to get a goal or two. And there was situations on Saturday where Brad's is right, Shanklin missed a couple of sitters in that too, but there was 2 or 3 times like Cammy Devlin could have shot. Cammy Devlin was ball coming back to him, edge of the box, bursting into the box, took a touch, what a pass, played it out wide, and you're like, just fucking shoot, man. Does your head in? How many times have we said that in the podcast?
Well,
Did we not say this
fucking
last November?
Aye.
every single episode since we started. But like if you look at the depth of the goal scorers, excuse me, the goal scorers we've got. I think in the league, we'll get 7 different scorers or something like that. That's it. Like if for whatever reason Shanklin gets injured or goes through a vein of form where he's not as prolific, then we're absolutely fucked.
Right.
Because, like, to your point, who else is going to deliver? Nobody. Boyce is injured.
Right.
That's your understudy almost. Then that's it. We'd be absolutely screwed. Because if we lose him, then that's it. Flush the rest of the season down the bog because there isn't the depth of goal scorers that we've seen in previous years.
Aye. I think the one shining light or positivity over the last couple of weeks has been Gino. Gino's the only goal, the sort of only goal threat from those areas that we have. And the thing I like about Gino is that he'll cut inside and shoot. Right, it could be wide, it could go fucking rose ed or whatever, but it gives defenders something to think about. If you're a defender and you're facing up Barry Mackay, you know he's not going to cut inside and shoot because he never does it. So you're like, right, even if he does get inside, well, he's not done it all season. He did it against Dundee United or whatever, but he's not done it all season and barely shoots. Cammy Devlin barely shoots. So you've got them 25 yards in front of your goal. You've squared them up. All they can do is go back because that's all they're going to do. All they're going to do is pass to Cochrane or Mikey Smith or whoever's out wide. They're not going to take a ping for 25 yards, and that is where like Shankland will get rebounds for the keeper or deflections and stuff and cutbacks. The other things where that type of striker comes into life. And I think Saturday, for as comfortable as we were in the opening 45 minutes, that was a real noticeable thing for me, was just how little threat we have for scoring goals. Tam, I wanted to talk about like Snodgrass. I thought Snodgrass was brilliant in the first 45 minutes. Very good football player.
Me and Kev discussed it last week as well, but he's just been that sort of experience, and just he's such an intelligent footballer, and he showed it in the last however many games he's played. I think it's took him a wee bit of time to get up to fitness, which is understandable because he came in September or something later on. But now that he's there, you see him, he gets involved with other players, telling them what to do. His deliveries for set pieces are different class. We've not had that for a while as well. But in terms of just that weird role, I didn't expect him to come in and play a deep lying centre mid, passing playmaker. So the box to box, but he's smashing it in that role.
Playing devil's advocate, Brad, right? This is something that, for as good as he was in the first opening 45 minutes, something really worried me. It didn't worry me, but I thought, we've seen this story before in the second half, right? You've got Snodgrass that's played in the Premier League, played at the top level, right? He's played all over the place. He's got standards. You see him in the ear, everybody round about him constantly, be in this space, be in that place. Why did you not do this? Why did you not do that? And it reminded me of Stephen Naismith, right? It reminded me of having that type of player. And the folks say, oh, I loved having Naismith out there or not. And it's brilliant. I loved having Naismith out there as well. But there came a point where Naismith moaned about standards and about this, that, and the other, and couldn't do it himself. So he's constantly moaning at people round about him for no being in the right space or no giving him the right pass, etc., etc., and then couldn't walk the walk. And Snodgrass was a bit like that on Saturday, and it made it almost like he's that moany, that demanding, that everything we did in the second half had to go to Snodgrass. Everything, every breakaway, every gone up the park, the ball had to go through him, and it slowed us right down. Is that
Yeah.
something to be worried about, or?
Well, I literally think we had this conversation about 2 years ago about Nazy, or 3 years ago about Nazy, that every play had to go through him, and it was so pedestrian and so slow, and everybody's first pass was to look for him. It's natural. He's obviously a natural leader. They do look for that. And as Tam said, dead ball's one thing, but you only get 2 or 3 chances a game. The majority of the passes are going to have to come from open play. He's going to have to do that forward movement. He's going to have to run when he has to run, and I think he's still. I'm going to give him more time to develop that side of things,
Yeah.
because, as Tam said, I don't think he'd actually kicked the ball since February when he came to us, and that's regardless of how good a standard you've got, that has an impact. Um,
I
I
don't
don't
think
know.
he's the same level as Moan
No,
as Nielsen.
Naismith,
Naismith though as
no,
well.
I don't think so either.
But he also played Saturday basically one high tie behind his back, because you need Devlin's energy running about him. Do you know what I mean? They need somebody that's going to be busy, and they had Keogh, who did nothing. So Barry Mackay was quiet, but Livingston started to double up on Barry Mackay. Whenever he got the ball, 2 men on him. See, in the second half, every single time Snodgrass got the ball, Holt and Omionga were on him instantly, because they knew Devlin had went off. Keogh stands fucking still like a statue. There's no movement around about him. So you pressure Snodgrass, he's gone one of two ways. He either has to let the ball come across him, and he's going to have to stay a scale and get by you, which isn't in his game now, or he's going to get to Smith or Rowles or Halkett or Gordon. And the amount of times the ball went into the middle of the park, Livy pressed, and it had to go straight back to Craig Gordon or to Mikey Smith again, etc., etc. They just stopped that through ball, got us going through the middle of the park, and it killed us because Keogh did nothing and does nothing.
I think there's a bit of fear with Snodgrass as well. I think if he had faith in Keogh or Devlin, he would sit higher up. He'd almost fit into a 10 position and play a playmaker, but I think he feels these boys are going to fuck it up, so I'm going to sit deeper. I'll play from here, and it maybe just has an adverse side to his game. And again, we've not really seen him in this position. He's never really played this position in his career. He's always been out on the wide. So he's obviously still learning part of this game as well. It's still a development role for him. But I think he's actually been more positive than negative in that element.
Second half, Ando was for as comfortable and sort of patient Hearts were in the first half. Again, you talk about predictability. Just like us at Ibrox on the Wednesday, right? The game plan is stay in it till half time, then come out and play your game. Do you know what I mean? Silence the crowd, get the crowd anxious, win your battles, be hard to beat, be resolute, etc. And in the second half, go and pose yourself. Right? I could have told you that setting up the back of Section G that's what Livingston were going to do. And I'm pretty sure that's what Robbie and Jig and all the players knew that's what was going to happen. But we looked genuinely surprised that Livingston stepped up a gear and tried to be a bit more direct, tried to get bodies closer to Nubly up front, etc., etc. They started winning second balls, they started winning knockdowns. And again, it's absolutely no surprise that the goal it's a carbon copy of the goal that Ross County scored opening game of the season. It's a long punt up the park for the goalkeeper. Cochrane does absolutely nothing about it, and Rowles gets turned inside out when he should put the boy in his arse.
And if you go back to that word predictability, and it's absolutely no surprise. It's like everybody in the entire fucking stadium, including the coaching staff, should be able to see. Like you've already said that that's the way Liverpool. Fucking hell, when did we play them?
Next season,
Livingston.
Champions League.
True. That was the way Livingston were set up to play, right? The Nielsen isn't that much of a mug that he doesn't know, so he doesn't think that that's what's going to happen. The bit that defies logic for me is that is just again go back to the word predictability of we couldn't do anything to stop it. Everybody in the stadium, me watching on TV at home, could see that that's what was going to happen, and yet it still unfolded. We knew it was happening, and there was nothing we could do to stop it. It's absolutely horrible, and it's so frustrating to watch. Is it? And I don't know the answer. How do you overcome that? Because other teams are going to look at what Livingston done on Saturday. Obviously we've got games coming up, and we've just spoken about the 5 fixtures there after across and after the Christmas period. Other teams are going to look at that and go, well, Livy can turn up and do that. Everybody knows Livy are going to turn up and do that, and yet Hearts couldn't stop it. We'll just play that same game again because Hearts can't stop it. How do you fix it? That's the question that I'm left with. It's so fucking aggravating.
Tam, playing devil's advocate, is it handball by
For
Nicky Devlin by the Liverpool players?
I think it is, yeah. But who knows what a handball is these days? It seems to be anything that hits a hand in the box these days is given. So on that basis, it is a handball.
Aye. We've spoke about it before, and it's obviously, Brids, when you talk about playing the way that we play or whatever, we play defensively high because we push and try to press as high up the park as we can. When Cochrane misses the first contact, we're done. Like you look at to a higher level, look at the goals we conceded in Europe. They're although not same in style, but they're the same philosophy or whatever. You miss first contact, etc., etc., and we're in behind, and they've got shots on Gordon. It's disappointing to see again, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Livy did do the route one a few times, and actually, I'd go against Ando. I think we did deal with it for the most part. I thought Rules and Civic actually strolled the long ball stuff. It was the ball into Nubly's feet that caused us more issue than the route one. That comes down just to the individual error. And Cochrane, I don't know if it's just me, he seems to miss headers left, right, and centre. He seems to get conned to the ball quite a lot. He's got to do, if he just headers that anywhere in the park, it's not a goal. Livy
We
don't get
spoke about was it East Fife or Peterhead or something that we played? Remember the first game back after COVID?
It's the one
We sat-
we were there after the interview, wasn't it?
Aye, remember we sat Brids and we watched Cochrane and we were like, "What are you doing? Like, don't fire long balls at him expecting him to header it because he's no came through Scottish football. He's came through in England. He's not going to win headers. Didn't expect him to win headers.
I also expect Hearts, even Cochrane, to be a wee bit more savvy as well. Just get your body in between the player and the goal, and the slightest bit of
Go down.
contact, you start flopping about and going down.
Snodgrass, mate.
You get it.
Snodgrass did it.
He does it all the time.
Almost every was Presley-esque. Snodgrass, the amount of times
Yeah.
he went on the ground.
Cammy Devlin does it as well. Gets his body in the way because he knows he's a wee man. He's not going to win a header, but they're going to come through the back of me. It's my free kick.
Do you know what annoyed me as well, right? And this is, I don't know, is it the dark arts? Is that if that you want to call it that way, right? See, for me, if I was Alex Cochrane, I'd have been gone mental that was handball. Just
Yeah.
because one, the number one. If you're ever at a football match, right? Here's some rules for you, right? You want to know if your centre backs have fucked it up. They do that as soon as the ball goes in the back of the net. Hands are up in the air. Oh, he's offside. That's the number one tell of I've left my man. I've been done. I've no idea where I am. So I'm going to fire my hand up and hope in hell that the linesman just goes, oh, I feel sorry for him. Offside. If I was Cochrane in that sense, I'd said I've been elbowed, handball, something, go down. As soon as it goes in, scream, because they never even reviewed it on VAR. Now you're
No.
telling me that look at the Rangers' reaction to the Cammy Devlin tackle, right? So now I know this because I have insider knowledge, but they know that that's the type of way that Cammy Devlin plays. So they're waiting for something and their instructions are react, because one, you can bam him up, but two, the ref might book him or the ref might hang him because it's the type of player that he is. He's tenacious. As soon as he made that challenge, 6 Rangers players are like, oh my fucking god, that's the worst tackle I've ever fucking seen, ref. But and the referee has no choice but to be like, oh my god, that must have been a bad challenge, because the Rangers board, fucking, what do you call them, box are up.
Okay.
Like, do you know what I mean? Dugout are all up, the players are all up, and that's like, it's that wee sort of dark art things where like ex-pros or like senior pros at a club like Snodgrass, like you said, get your body in between you and the ball, and go down, pretend that you've been injured, or at least pretend that you've been injured, and see if the ref makes a choice or whatever.
To be
I
fair, you
take
say about the handball, we're going to come on to it, but we'll call it even.
well that just like I said, when, especially right now when there's such ambiguity about what constitutes a handball, you should be calling for everything.
Yeah.
Like, put pressure on them. Like, they're clearly only convinced that VR's right and they're not making the call. So put pressure on them. Call for absolutely everything.
See, the thing with, I see with this, I know we're circling back. See, the handball, I think it should only be ever be classified as a handball if it disadvantages a team. Alan Forrest is in no man's fucking land when it touches his hand. It doesn't do any Livy player a disservice, him touching that ball.
Well,
Whereas the other one was, he's on the back of Cochrane, comes off his arm, and then he's through.
well, the argument is it bounces off his foot and hits his hand. It's at waist height. If it bounces off his foot, doesn't hit his hand, it goes 10 foot in there. So, you're talking seconds to wait for the ball to come down, and then he throws the ball into the box. They're maybe in a better position. So I get your argument. I get, like, the the Toby Sibic one, the momentum of the Livingston player. He's challenged out like that because that's your natural position to block a shot. But Toby Sibic's tried to flick it over him, and it's hit him in the arm, which has directly stopped the ball going to where it is. So
It's
that's
clear as day.
a different scenario. Uh, the big that Joel Newbley boy, if Hearts have got any ambition of challenging and going up, we paid £300,000 for Keogh. Fucking sell him
Straight
and
swap.
get to Livingston and try and get him in, because that's what we don't have right now. We don't have that sort of different like approach. Stephen Humphries has been asked to do it, etc. But we've actually seen more results out of him playing to his feet and giving him something to chase, etc. But having a big guy up there and saying, like, look, we're playing against Kilmarnock today, we're playing against Aberdeen today, they're big cloggers, just go up and win the battles, and we'll get Barry Mackay close to you, we'll get Alan Forrest close to you, we'll get Snodgrass close to you, and go win second balls, etc., etc.
Him or Kevin Van Veen would be an absolute coup.
Yeah, that's true. I think both of them are pretty.
You did say that
decent.
on Saturday, actually, Corbett.
So it's predictable. It is, again, what we've spoken about there. There's absolutely no complaints. No Hearts fan can look at the Royals incident and say that that's not a penalty and no a sending off. It's like, well done, VAR. the stuff you get right, that's absolutely right. Why the referee missed it, we've already spoke about it. I've no idea. It was clear as day. And then I think the thing that annoyed me, it's hard to be annoyed because we showed some good Hearts teams in the past where they got beat. Do you know what I mean? We kept going, albeit actually, I wouldn't have said that the last like 10 minutes were us absolutely pummeling Livingston or whatever. We still have this sort of panic station thing where we lose all shape, we lose all sort of identity as to what we're trying to do, and we just start to become really erratic. And I suppose it helps that it's that sort of madness that creates the space for Gino to score. But we did we really didn't look like we had a clear plan as to what we were doing when we went down to 10 men. Kev.
And the bizarre thing about that is the fact that we've been at 10 men a number of times this season. Did you not put out that we've had
Aye.
the least amount of yellow cards, but the most amount of red cards, which is a bizarre one in itself?
But the least amount of fouls and the least amount of yellow cards, but the most amount of red cards. I don't know how that makes any sense, but there you go.
And you would think that after 3, 4, 5 games of playing with 10 men, we would have a better bit of knowledge or a better understanding of how we're going to actually set up. And I know you want to talk about it, so I'll set you up. But to bring, Connor Smith on, and then within the space of about 7 minutes, take him off to bring Halkett on, thought they'd wee bit of a disservice to the lad, to be truthfully honest with you. There was other players that could have been taken off for that Halkett particular substitution, in my opinion.
Aye.
It's just bizarre how we sort of lose a player and lose all ability to actually still make 2 or 3 passes. Everything seemed to be just get rid of the ball. I don't want to have it. I've lost confidence all of a sudden, and that in itself could be looked upon as being a bit worrying as well.
Well, I tweeted to say that I would be shocked if I seen any of the Australians play on Saturday. Right, let's take Hearts' glasses off. These 3 young boys have just been told that they're going to the World Cup to play for their national side. I could not have given a shiny shit about playing Livingston at home on Saturday if I was any one of those 3. I'd have said, wrap me in cotton wool, I'm going to the World Cup, I'm not getting injured. So to see, I understand the Rouse thing because he's been out injured, so minutes in the legs, maybe give him a game. But the fact that we obviously, Cammy Devlin was on the bench, and then whatever happened with Andy Halliday, Devlin had to play. But that annoyed me instantly that we're a goal down, chasing the game, and we take Cammy Devlin off at 60 minutes. That's no tactical. That wasn't a tactical substitution. He took Cammy Devlin off because he was protecting him for the World Cup and brought Connor Smith on. That was nothing to do with the game, because if it was to do with the game, they made the substitution they made a wee bit later, which was take Keogh off, who'd never impacted the game. So you think, right, well, what the fuck was the point in playing them? Because either the most important thing is 3 points, or the most important thing is the World Cup for Australia. You can't mix them both. It's no surprise, and I know that I'm not saying they did it on purpose, but it's no surprise that neither of the 2 Australians played 90 minutes. So that already had me annoyed. And then to see us take Connor Smith off and bring Halkett on when we're down to 10 men, chasing a goal, and you think, what have we done that for? Why are we taking a midfielder off to put a defender on? And then it meant that Snodgrass was in the middle of the park, 1 against 3. Yeah, it was a baffling 10 minutes.
See if you're going to commit to that. And Robbie's, because Halkett didn't play in defence, by the way. He
No,
played as a 10 or up top.
Aye.
See if he genuinely has zero faith in Connor Smith adding goals when we need them. Why put him on in the first place? Why not just put
exactly.
Halkett on?
Aye.
And by the way, I wouldn't be shocked because Connor Smith hasn't added any value to me. Hasn't
Aye.
added anything to the teams. He doesn't play like a cam role for me. But if you have zero faith in him being able to win you a goal, but you do with Halkett, fucking play Halkett then. We could bitch and moan about it, but you were going to do it anyway. You may as well have just saved an extra sub.
Aye. It was a bizarre sequence of events. Obviously, Shanklin and Gino miss sitters again. Actually, I thought it was a sitter by Shanklin. And it is, but what a save by the Livingston goalkeeper. The you can question him for the Alan Forrest shot and think, what you then? Do you know what I mean? He's palmed that back into the middle of the box. But to get up and stop the Shanklin drive is, we can say he should finish it. That's a brilliant save. You're not expecting the goalkeeper to get up and make that save. So fair play to him there. And Gino actually, the most Hearts thing ever is the fact that Gino misses the cutback and scores the fucking half chance in the top bag. You think, how can we not just do simple things, man? Like the chance that Gino has where he blazes it over the bar, it's simple.
Even the
finish.
chance earlier in the game where the keeper just rushes it, he
Aye.
places it anywhere except where his hand is. It's a
Aye,
goal. Do you know what I mean?
again, it was frustrating, but obviously a point's better than losing the points. I think again it's something that we've you can't shake that stick at this Hearts team anymore. Is that it's got character, like it does, considering where we are right now. You know, there was a picture, I can't remember what game it was it RF Riga or whatever they were called at home, where it showed you in the stand, and it was like the 8 players sitting
Yeah,
watching the game. You were like, fuck's sake, man! Every single one of them would be in the starting 11, and they're sitting in the stands. We've had right backs playing centre back, left backs playing centre back. We've had folk centre midfielders playing as wingers. We've had Andy Halliday having to score all the goals. I think Saturday just felt like one of those, just didn't get beat, and just regrouped, didn't it?
Totally.
And that's what it was.
Tam, what you're going to say?
I just got another question. You made me think about it with injuries there, but where's Peter Haring as well?
Okay, no, I don't know.
I had knocks
Haring's-
just 2 weeks.
Concussion
No,
is
he's still-
supposed to be, wasn't it?
It's minimal
Still-
2 weeks.
Oh,
but he's
okay,
still
right.
complaining. They were saying that on Saturday. He's still complaining of headaches and dizziness.
Oh fuck.
But
Right,
actually,
okay.
he was supposed to be going for a. I don't know if he has had it, but he was supposed to be going for a scan, because they were concerned about it.
Oh well. There we go. My last thing will be fucking Livingston and David Martindale, mate. That guy is a fucking miracle worker. Honestly, he has showed up to the Playboy Mansion with a face like Tam's, an empty wallet, and the weirdest knob on planet Earth, and banged
That
it
is
in
me.
that house.
That is me. Fuck
Like,
hell. Minus the
it
banger.
So it's just Tam and
outrageous.
here.
Honestly, it is outrageous. Now, I'm not saying that I said that on Saturday. I'm not saying that they play good football. They didn't. They play they're fucking cloggers. But there is not a Livingston player that they walked off that park on Saturday that said they didn't give every single bit of what they have. Do you know what I mean? Like every single ounce of talent, energy, commitment that they have, they gave on Saturday. And it might be shite to watch, but fuck me, man. Like where we're in right now, where we are in the trenches, we could do with some of those players with that attitude, because I thought, what a fucking job they're doing. The budget he's on, and what they're fourth in the league. I think they've only lost like 2 games or something in the last like 9. Fucking outrageous, man.
Let me ask you this then. So when Nielsen gets sacked, would you take
No.
Martindale?
No.
Not in the slightest. Not in the slightest.
Because he'll be at
Other
Rangers
than for the
after
Christmas night
GBB
out.
gets sacked.
Aye, other than for the Christmas night out and his contacts, I didn't want him anywhere near. No, I didn't want him anywhere near Hearts. But aye, so we're pretty like it's good to see Shanklin scoring goals, etc. It's good to see us now actually creating the type of chances that Shanklin will take, albeit outside of Hingway, which is get to the byline, get wide, and put balls into the box is where he's most dangerous, etc. Andy Halliday's just been like superb. Would you have a? We'll go around the table right now. I'll put you on the spot. Would you have a quarter season player of the season so far? Anybody you want to nominate? So, Kev, who would be your sort of player of the last 24 games?
Would have to be between either Halliday or Cochrane. I
Fair.
thought Cochrane had a really good game away back, the home game against Zurich, and then built from that. His commitment last Sunday when we played Motherwell, it was about the 85th minute, 88th minute. He went into a 50-50, and the cheer for the crowd was just as much as we'd actually scored a goal. So it would be between Halliday and Cochrane for me.
Sam?
I'm going to be 2 completely different players, to be honest. I think Cochrane is definitely up there, but you can't Shanklin 11 goals. Can't really take that away. And Cammy Devlin has been brilliant this season.
Ando?
It's Rocky Bashiri for me.
Aye,
Only joking. It's Cochrane. I think Mr. You always talk about Michael Smith being a solid 6 or 7 or an 8 out of 10 every week. I barely can think of him putting a foot wrong in many games this season. So him for me.
they were 2021 thoughts as well. I no longer share that that standpoint on Michael Smith, but we'll let that slide.
That's
But
fair. That's legacy.
aye, that's fine. He's earned it.
I'll go turncoat. I'll say Connor Smith.
Yeah, bastard.
No, I think for me it would have to be Halliday or Devlin. Although I'm going to put a big shout out for Civic in the last 5-6 games. Has been tremendous. Like how you turn that around from going from, let's not beat about the bush. He was very kind of depressed and sad and didn't want to be at the club to now being one of our shining stars is tremendous.
Aye, I think he's done well to turn it around as well. I think he's had a couple of good performances, but like you said, we want to see it consistently. That's the thing about him. He's got to build on it. Now, I thought he handled, as you said quite rightly, I thought he handled the big guy up front for Livingston pretty well on Saturday. I thought he played very well at Ibrox too. So aye, fair shouts.
He's
Me,
done most of it with no rules, no Halkett,
aye.
no
He's had
other centre back, no Kingsley for half the time as well.
He's had obviously Lewis Nielsen and stuff as well, which I'm glad that sort of I'm glad that he's at the firing line a bit, if I'm being honest with you. I don't think, and I think it's very telling, and as much as we said there about the Connor Smith stuff, I think Robbie's handled that situation really well with Lewis Nielsen. Obviously, Lewis Nielsen has played way more games than he probably ever was meant to, and it would have been as almost like he plays, but as long as he's got armbands, as in he's got Halkett or Rouse next to him, like to be asking a 19-year-old to come in, play in play in Europe with a left back playing centre back beside you, or another left back playing centre back beside you, is a tough ask. So Cibic is number. I'm the same as you, I think. Andy Halliday, if you could, everything that we love about Cammy Devlin, etc., it's just Andy Halliday. He's the exact same, exact same. You know, he gives you everything that he's got, but he scores goals. Do you know what I mean? And he's not scared to shoot. He's not scared. Some of the goals he scores are actually brilliant too. Finish against fucking Motherwell is an unbelievable finish.
Oh, that's
The
class.
the one where he sweeps it across the goalkeeper, and that's a great finish.
That's a proper finish.
That's a great finish. So Cochrane and Halliday for me have been brilliant. I'm getting sick of it. I'm getting hangweed about like Craig Gordon. We have to talk about Craig Gordon because he is bipolar. Like Saturday was a unbelievable example of it. He makes 3, maybe even 4 top saves, but he caused about 4 chances by no showing for back passes when you can see the defenders are desperate to have somebody there to pass the ball to, or they give him the ball and he scoops it pitching wedge style 90 yards up into the air and it lands 25 yards for the goal. And you're like, Dane, man, just toe bang it out the park if you can't get it up to Shankland, put it out the, like toe bang it out the park. Like, do you know what I mean? The Motherwell game, we had the exact same situation. The ball last dying seconds, we're 10 men, we're up against it. They were literally pummeling us. We managed to get the break of the ball, rolls back to Craig Gordon. All he's got to do is size 11 it right up to Liam Kelly, put it out for a by kick, knock it like a kick in rugby, put it as far down the Wheatfield touchline as you possibly can, and he sandwiches it up into the air. And Motherwell win the header 35 yards for your goal and get across into the box with the last seconds. David, is it time for a rest for Craig Gordon? Because he obviously has made himself available for the Scotland friendlies. He's saying today as well that he wants to play till he's 50. We've seen 0 of Xander Clark. What's your thoughts? I'll go resident goalkeeper first, so I'll go to Brad's. What's your thoughts on that?
This is the old catch-22. Yeah, we're talking about dropping the best keeper for the second best keeper. It's just one of these really bad ones. I'd like to see Xander Clark being given a shot. He needs to kind of cement himself into that if he's going to take over the mantle next year. He needs to really get himself into that team. Craig Gordon has got some of the best saves you'll ever see, but all that wee niggly frustrating stuff isn't going to improve with him. He's not going to get any better at that. If anything, he's going to get slightly worse at it. So I think it is time for a wee break.
He did. Were we next to each other for Fiorentina at Hambrad's?
Yes.
Remember, I had my best moment of the season so far when they scored the second goal when fucking Craig Gordon with his hands up in the air, 9 foot tall. Didn't they come for the ball in the 6-yard box and they scored? And I shouted, "Fuck's sake, Gordon, you're fucking useless!" And then sat down and was like, stood back up and went, "Whoa, no useless! Like, fuck, you're obviously no useless, but what the fuck are you? What are you doing?" And that's what it's like. It's like so frustrating. And Ando, I was going to say, we've said this before, but is he a victim of his success? Because obviously he's a world class goalkeeper. So if he makes even a mistake that's not even that big a mistake or whatever, it just feels amplified because he's been so consistently brilliant for so long that anything that he does that isn't brilliant feels like the world's caving in.
Yeah, absolutely that. It gets magnified to the point where for every 10 things that he does that are fucking brilliant, and you just come to expect it of him, there's maybe one. Yeah, it's that 1 in 10 shot. And you know what? I'd take a 1 in 10 shot of 1 in 10 fuck ups. That cheesy
Nope.
should never ever play for Hearts again.
Correct.
Ever. Xander Clark, a completely unknown quantity. I say unknown quantity, he's unknown recently. Like
Aye, for us.
what? Exactly. It's like after he left St Johnstone, he was playing for dog shit teams in lower division football. Then he's just there as a backup for an emergency circumstance. I don't think you drop one of the best goalkeepers that Hearts and Scotland have ever seen. To even entertain that chat is ludicrous. In favour of Xander Clark, fuck off. Xander Clark can beat it and all.
Tam, do we invest in Craig Gordon masks and put them on the back of everybody's heads so that Mikey Smith can actually pass the ball forward? Because Mikey Smith cannot stop looking at Craig Gordon. Every single time he gets the ball, he turns round and tries to pass it to Craig Gordon.
He is a big handsome bastard.
I was going to say
He
he
is
is
that, mate,
handsome, so that's
100%,
probably
aye.
what it is. I don't know what it is. Aye is the answer. Just do
Aye,
that.
yeah, good.
Just
That's
do
what I
that.
wanted. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. But like you said, that look, devil's advocate, Kev, is what we've said before, is that the big man's just like a kid. He's played every single minute of every single game, training all the time. When there's a break, he's away with Scotland. When he's in, like, it's no dropping him, as in like we would do with Cheesy or Bobby Lamal or Joe Pereira or whatever. We're no dropping him. It's games where we could potentially take him out the firing line. Let him have a day off. Let him go be a da. Let him get a sleep. Let him chill out type stuff, innit?
There's definitely that part of it. My outlook on it is the fact that we have had a makeshift defence, and I would go as far to say that does Nielsen go, I don't want to put Xander Clark in there and throw him under a bus when he doesn't have two proper centre halves in front of him? That's a question that you could probably possibly look at. I know that Tam and I spoke about that the other week there.
It's clear that
But
nobody listened, Kev. It's fine.
no, definitely not, mate.
What do you mean? Listen, I
and they wonder.
wrote you the voice note. You
They
just
wonder.
repeated what I said.
So from that point of view, I do think that's where it is. I wouldn't be surprised to see Xander Clark actually as cup goalkeeper. We've got the Scottish Cup happening in what, 8 weeks' time.
To hell with that idea.
That I wouldn't be surprised to see it. I wouldn't
Nah.
be surprised
I
to see
think
that.
I think Gordon has got his sights firmly set on play every single minute, of every single game, and then reevaluate at the end of the season because he'll want to be like the Hearts' most capped player if he already isn't, or whatever. He wanted to be the most European player, etc., etc. So I can see why he's doing it, but never
If
mind.
you're the manager and you've got to pick the players who've been the best players that week at training, look the sharpest, look fittest.
Aye,
He's
Craig
obviously he's still absolutely smashing it at training, and then it's hard for Robbie to go, well, Xander should maybe come in because, well, look how fucking good he is.
And also he's called Xander. I don't know.
Right,
I
but
don't know.
how
What a
good is
Gen
he?
X name that is, isn't it? Xander. Fuck
I
that.
genuinely have never been fucking.
He's a good
Feel free
goalkeeper.
to.
He is good.
No,
He is a
he's
good
not.
goalkeeper.
No,
Aye,
he's
he's
not.
a good goalkeeper.
He's
Right,
not.
let's end it with on a bum note. Let's go to Kev for the answers to his whatever this quiz thing is. We'll leave everybody wanting more next week.
Pushing matters there. So for your first player, the 4 clues were Poker, Scared, IKEA, and Curly. I'm going to go. I'm going to go to Brad's first of all
Well,
because I love when you say that.
because I didn't have a clue, so I went IKEA, Swedish player, curly hair. So
Oh, you're on the right lines. You just got to pick up with the other 2 clues. I can see that that Corbett, you know it, so I'll go to Tam.
Corbett, please.
Bail him out, Corbett.
Well, I was the only thing I can think of Curly is Hans Elkerson or whatever the hell he was called, the guy that missed that stupid open goal.
Exactly that. Hans Eskilsson, who was
Eskilsson, there you go.
scared after the Tynecastle crowd in a Hearts Hibs game. And
Aye.
after playing with Hearts, went to become a poker player and actually fairly successful at it. Who would have
Nice.
guessed? Second one was Vilnius, a success, 100 appearances, and Samson Spor, whoever the hell they are.
Can I just ask a question? Are you saying Vilnius like Lithuania or
Yes,
like
mate.
Vilnius or something? Okay, cool.
All right, do you know many more? Like the
No, I
is
didn't
that
know the answer.
Kev,
I
is
just
that the
wondered.
Latin? Is that the Latin of what you were saying there? Is that what you're Fucking hell, Tam.
Tam's written down. He was a villain. Then he was
Ah,
a
you
That's what I
villain.
was
He's
saying.
done
That's
that.
villainous or something.
Was he in
Sorry.
Doctor No 1968? Aye.
Came for Aston Villa, Tam. You want to have a pop guess at the player?
I'm okay, thanks.
Okay. MD?
I put Novi.
Novikovas, well done.
I only got it from Samsung Spore.
Well,
And Google. Then
good old,
clearly.
good old you for knowing that that's where he was playing, because I didn't
I
remember that.
had fuck all
all.
for
Aye.
either of them.
Tam, you buy those
Brutally
like second
honest.
hand tellies. You've got one of those Samsungs, winner, but it's called Samsung Sport or whatever it's called. Aye. You got one of them off the back of a van, didn't you?
50 quid at the pub.
Aye, aye. Because if you went to the pub, no chance. No, if it one of us, hold your hand.
To buy the
Right.
drinks, you'll find actually.
What have we got today for
Well, we
5
need some
weeks?
wee wank to wait in the queue.
Aye. Nay Hearts for 5 weeks. That'll be fun. We'll stop podcast. I was going to say that we now that we're back, now that European football's finished, we'll go back to our normal routine of getting one pod a week out. So we'll do it every Sunday. Get back into that routine. Obviously, with Europe and holidays and stuff that have happened or whatever, we've got to file out that river. We'll be posting as much as we want, but we'll get back to it. So aye, I'll see you all next week, boys.
All
Cheers.
the best.
See you later.
Yeah.
Gorgero.